Hi, I'm Marie, and this is my first YouTube video. Before we begin, I do want to say that acne is my biggest insecurity, and I will be sharing some photos with you guys, so I just ask to please, please, please be kind. I'm really nervous to share this, but I wish I was able to watch a video like this before I started this treatment, so yeah, that's all. All right, let's get started. For my background, I've had acne probably ever since I was 10, like pre-puberty. And up until now, I still get it. And I've had everything under the sun. You can name as little as you can imagine to the most severe. I've had it all, like atrophic scarring, PIE, hyperpigmentation, closed comedones, hormonal, cystic. I'm trying to think of other names, but pretty much I've experienced it all. And my father also does have acne as long as I've known him. And so I do believe that genetics does play a role in my experience. And I've also tried every single treatment that I could ever think of, except for Accutane and CO2 laser, which is on my radar, but not Accutane because Accutane, at least in my perspective, I'm a little bit scared of it just because of how much havoc it wreaks on the body. So I am avoiding Accutane. So anyways, my friend came over one day and she was telling me about this new treatment she's a part of the clinical trials for. And she is someone that we connect on our breakouts. And her skin was looking great. And I mean, after the clinical trials, her skin looked fantastic. I mean, I was so blown away. And that was giving me a lot of hope because obviously I couldn't sign up for the clinical trials because I was a little bit too late. But I was very, very early in on this new laser. And so I was really excited about it. And so I looked it up and I went in for an appointment. So I went into this appointment for a consult, and it was for a laser called ACCURE. And it was basically marketed to me as Accutane and laser form, which sounded fantastic because I didn't want to take Accutane. And it's basically at a wavelength that is absorbed by the sebaceous glands, and it's targeted, so other areas of the skin is unaffected. And the clinical trials reported a 73% decline in acne after 2 treatments, which sounds great. So I was so excited. And the other advantages of ACCURE compared to other treatments include non-invasive treatments with minimal pain, minimal downtime, no need for additional medications, fewer side effects compared to traditional topical and oral meds, treatment safety for all skin types, alleviation of inflammation, pain, and discomfort, no risk of scarring, and it's also FDA approved now. And at this consult, I was told to expect about 3 to 4 sessions for me, and I'll break out after the first one, but after the second one, it should go away and everything should be smooth sailing from there. And so I signed up naturally, and I was super excited for it. So regarding the procedure, I have my notes written down from my experience. I actually wrote it last year when I was doing the sessions, so you guys could get the inside scoop of what I've experienced. The pain was really minimal for me, but I was told that a lot of men especially, needed laughing gas. I do have really high pain tolerance, so all I needed was the numbing cream that they put on me, but a lot of people do ask for the laughing gas if needed. I do think that might be an extra charge, I'm not sure, but I never needed it, so you might not either. And each appointment was 2.5 hours, 2.5 hours. 1 hour was for the numbing, and which was really nice because I just sat there and it was relaxing. But as far as the actual laser part, it was 11 beeps. So basically it's just like it's just like a little regular laser stick. And the tips are disposable, which is nice because after they use it, they trash it. So you know you're getting a new tip that's touching your face. The only part with that is that I don't know if they've changed it now, but back when I did it, the tips were pretty thick, so they couldn't get my upper lip area, my nose area, just because the tip was bigger than my surface area on that face, so they couldn't get that area. Okay, so the scariest part for me was the beeping, which is so funny because it's like the anticipation that kind of scares you more than the actual laser itself. But there's 11 beeps, and after beep 3, it's kind of like, the best way I could describe it is when your legs go numb and you start hitting it a little bit. You know, I don't know if you've experienced that, but it's like that fuzzy feeling, and then if you hit it, it hurts. Yeah, but it's not like a terrible pain. It's just, it hurts. It's like, it's uncomfortable. So beeps 3 to 9 was kind of like that. And then it went back down. And then you're anticipating, because then the 10th beep, you're like, okay, there's the next one. And on the 11th beep, it kind of just feels like heated needles. And you can feel your pores, which is the weirdest sensation. I am trying to explain it the best I can, but I hope that makes sense. And you could just feel each single pore almost. And that felt so odd. But obviously the anticipation was the worst part. And then the 11th beep, you're just kind of like a little boop, shock. And then it's all done. And then they move on to the next square. And I forgot to mention, on the face, they draw little grid lines with Sharpie. So it's only one pass in each section. So it's a little square. So 11 beeps in each area. Oh, and the worst part was my forehead. That, like where the skin is the thinnest, I feel like that was the worst part. I forgot to add that. So after they're done with the whole face, you just go out and pay, and that's basically it. Oh, they do try to wipe off the Sharpie that's on your face, but most of the time they weren't able to get it all, so you kind of look crazy walking out with the little Sharpie lines. And I was a little bit red, but I do get red pretty easily. So some people might not even experience that redness, I'm not sure. But I was red, I was a little bit swollen, not bad at all. And the annoying part was just the black lines, like I said. And obviously, like any laser, I avoided saunas, working out, and putting makeup on within the first 24 hours. And after that, completely fine. There's no peeling, nothing looking crazy after. So the downtime was actually fantastic. It was great. After my first laser, I was scared, obviously, because they told me I was going to break out during my consult, and I didn't break out, which was great. And then the second time I went in, I was like, uh-oh, am I going to break out? Nope, I didn't break out. And then the third time I went in, I was like, great, this is going to be so great. It's going to start clearing up. No, I was wrong. I broke out like crazy, and I've never broken out like that before because it was an interesting type of breakout. Not a normal one for sure. So it was definitely from the laser, and they put me on 100 milligrams of doxycycline, which I was like, you know what, it'll help for now. But they kept me on it throughout the whole rest of my treatment. And that was a little bit weird in my perspective because it is like a higher up doxy, and I get that they're worried about me scarring. But also I felt like I couldn't feel the true effect of the laser. And so my before and afters, before me taking Doxy, and Doxy does work really well for most people, and it does for me too. It's not a cure-all, obviously. Spironolactone is usually works a little bit better for me, although I do get dizzy from it. But I was trying to avoid antibiotics in general just because I was on them for so long when I was younger. But I kept taking it as directed, and my before and afters, I feel like, well, let me just show you. So here are my before and afters. Before is before any session with ACCURE, and the last one is after my 5th session with ACCURE. And they told me that I should keep coming back for more sessions, just to see if my acne would get better. But I declined, and I decided not to go back just because I spent $10,000 already, and I feel like personally it wasn't working. And the after is also when I'm taking doxycycline, so I feel like it was actually making my acne worse in a way, which was really disappointing because obviously my friend went through this and her acne looks great. Like she doesn't break out anymore. But at least for me, not so much, which is so disappointing. But ever since then, I went back to a different laser clinic, which I went during my wedding. oh, sorry, I went before my wedding, and he really worked on my skin and it worked out great, which was I did Levulon with PDT and microneedling with PRP. And so since I've been going back to him, here's my skin now. And obviously it's nowhere near perfect, but I feel like it's getting better and it's a lot cheaper than doing the ACCURE every month for $2,000. And so, yeah, I went back to doing this. I was disappointed just because the ACCURE was supposed to be a permanent treatment, but obviously doing Levulon or microneedling isn't super permanent, I feel. Well, microneedling, I guess, could be considered permanent, but at least for Levulon, you have to keep going back to kill that bacteria. But yeah, I feel like I'm just rambling at this point. If you were to ask me, knowing what I know now, would I have done it again? No and yes. No, because obviously it didn't work out for me, but yes, because I've spent so much money trying to heal and cure my acne that if I hadn't done it, I would always be wondering, what if? What if it worked for my acne? It works for so many other people. Back then, it was very early on, so I tried doing a lot of research on it. A lot of people talking about their experience, but obviously there was really almost none. And so it seemed like it worked for everybody, but it didn't work for me, which is fine. I don't know if it was worth $10,000 to have that peace of mind, to be honest with you. But at least now I know it didn't work for me, so I can move on to other treatments. And you know what? Above all, you have to also remember that you are your own worst critic. So a lot of people don't even notice that little small breakout you have or that big breakout you have. Like, a lot of people aren't paying attention to that. And above all, do not forget to enjoy life. And because life is too short and so wonderful to let your breakouts control you. And that is all I'm going to say, because I also need to live by that. And to be real with you, sometimes I don't want to go outside because I feel like my breakouts are too bad. But I'm trying to live by my motto: don't let your breakouts control you, okay? Okay, guys, if you enjoyed my first ever YouTube video, please like and subscribe. Oh my gosh, it's so weird saying that. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, obviously I'm available to answer them, so leave them down below. And I guess bye.